Are you sure you can't make it? Lisa's voice, my wife's voice, sounded worried on the phone. Honey, it's a real apocalypse out here. Police have closed all the roads. I looked out the window at the raging blizzard. I'm stuck at your mom's until morning at least. Okay, she sighed. Say hi to Mom. And happy almost New Year if we don't see each other before midnight. Happy New Year. I hung up and turned to Natalie, my mother-in-law. Would you like some wine? She was already getting out glasses. Since we're going to be celebrating New Year's together. I nodded. The situation was strange. In 5 years of marriage, Natalie and I had never been alone for longer than 15 minutes. Red okay? She took a bottle from the cabinet. Sure. Natalie poured the wine. Logs crackled in the fireplace. Wind howled outside. I suddenly noticed how cozy her house was. Soft lamplight, plush carpet, photographs on the walls. Funny how things turned out. She sat in the chair opposite. You came to wish us happy holidays, and now you're stuck here alone. Yeah, I took a sip of wine. By the way, why did you cancel your trip to your sister's? A feeling, she smirked, or just old age. Don't feel like traveling in such weather. What old age, Natalie? You're 45. 47. She fixed her hair with a familiar gesture, so similar to Lisa's. No need to hide it anymore. I looked at her more carefully. For her age, she looked stunning, slim figure, lively brown eyes, slight wrinkles only adding charm. Remember how we met? She suddenly asked. Of course, you thought I was the pizza delivery guy. Oh, God, right, she laughed. You were so serious in your suit, and I opened the door with money in hand. And said, finally, I'm starving. We both laughed. The wine was slowly doing its work. The tension was easing. You know, she said, refilling the glasses, I thought then my daughter got lucky. Really? Yes, you seemed reliable, solid. And now? She gave me a long look. And now I see you're also an interesting conversationalist, when you're not trying to be the perfect son-in-law. Am I trying? Of course, every family dinner like it's straight from an etiquette textbook. I shrugged. Just want to measure up. To what or to whom? Good question. Finishing my second glass, I realized I didn't know the answer. The third glass of wine made the conversation more candid. We moved closer to the fireplace. The house was getting chilly due to the storm. Are you happy with Lisa? Natalie suddenly asked. I choked on my wine. What kind of question is that? A normal question. A mother has the right to know. Of course I'm happy. You're lying. She looked me straight in the eyes. I can see it. What do you see? How you stare into space during family dinners. How you avoid conversations about the future. How... Enough. I stood up, went to the window. This isn't the kind of conversation a mother-in-law should have with her son-in-law. I'm not a mother-in-law right now. Her voice was soft. I'm just a person who sees that another person is hurting. I remained silent, watching the swirling snow outside the window. You know, she continued, I was like that too, pretending everything was perfect, until it was too late. What do you mean? About my marriage, about how I lived 15 years with a man I respected but didn't love, about how I convinced myself that's how it should be. I turned around. She sat with her legs tucked under her, in the firelight, so beautiful, and so vulnerable. Why are you telling me this? 'Cause I see myself in you. You're living how you should, not how you want. And what do you think I want? Passion, real feelings, something wrong. The last word hung in the air. We looked at each other, and something was changing between us with each second. More wine? I asked, breaking the moment. Yes, get a new bottle from the kitchen. In the kitchen, I leaned against the refrigerator, trying to collect my thoughts. What's happening? Where is this conversation leading? Need help? Her voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame. I can manage a bottle of wine. And what can't you manage? I looked at her. Are you playing with me? No, she came closer. I'm just tired of pretending. Pretending what? That I don't notice how you look at me. That I don't think about you more than I should. Natalie, I stepped back. You're drunk. No, she shook her head. For the first time in a long time, I'm absolutely sober. In every sense. She stood so close that I could smell her perfume. Sweet, with notes of vanilla. We can't. My voice sounded uncertain. Why? You know why. Because I'm your wife's mother? Because it's wrong? She took another step. And what's right, Dan? Living without feelings, without passion? Her hand touched my cheek, lightly, almost weightlessly. A shiver ran through my body. "Tell me you don't want this," she whispered. "Tell me and I'll back away." Instead of answering, I kissed her. It was like jumping into an abyss, terrifying and thrilling at the same time. Her lips were soft, demanding. Her hands slipped under my shirt. I don't remember how we ended up in the living room. The fire had almost died down, but we were hot. Her skin glowed in the half-light, hair spread across her shoulders. We intertwined in embraces, forgetting everything in the world. It was like madness, hot kisses, ragged breathing, passionate moans. Her nails dug into my back, my lips explored every inch of her body. Time stopped. Afterward, we lay on the carpet in front of the fireplace. The blizzard still raged outside. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, tracing her finger across my chest. "About what we've done. Do you regret it?" I turned to her. "Do you?" "No," she kissed my shoulder. "For the first time in many years, I feel alive." At that moment, the phone rang. Lisa. We froze, looking at the glowing screen. Reality was bursting into our little world like an icy wind. "Don't answer," Natalie whispered. But I had already pressed the button. "Hi, honey. How are you there? Is the blizzard calming down?" I looked at Natalie's bare shoulder. "No, still raging. Take care of Mom, okay? She's been kind of sad lately." "Of course." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I'll take care of her." After hanging up, I stared at the ceiling for a long time. "This was a mistake," I finally said. "I know," she pressed against me, "but what a beautiful mistake." I woke up to the smell of coffee. For a few seconds, I couldn't understand where I was. Then I remembered everything, and something sank inside. Natalie stood by the window, wrapped in a robe. The snow had stopped, but the city was still paralyzed. "Want coffee?" she asked without turning around. "Yes, and we need to talk." "About what? About how this was a mistake, that it won't happen again." I walked up to her. "Do you want it to happen again?" She turned around. In the morning light, the wrinkles around her eyes were visible, mascara traces on her cheeks. "I don't know," she answered honestly. "I don't know anything, Dan, except that last night I felt happy, for the first time in many years." "So what do we do?" "Nothing. You'll go back to Lisa. I'll stay here. We'll pretend nothing happened." "Can you do that? Do I have a choice?" We drank coffee in silence, each lost in our own thoughts, but we were probably thinking about the same thing. By noon, they had cleared the roads. I was about to leave when she suddenly grabbed my hand. "Kiss me one last time." This kiss was different, desperate, bitter, a farewell. At home, Lisa greeted me with a smile. "How did you spend time with Mom?" "Fine. Talked about different things." "Like what?" "About life, about the choices we make." She gave me a strange look. Deep topics for New Year's Eve. "Yeah." The next few days, I walked around in a fog. Couldn't sleep, eat, focus on work. That night kept playing before my eyes. Firelight on her skin, the smell of vanilla, ragged breathing. On Friday, Lisa suggested, "Let's invite Mom for dinner. She's been acting strange lately. Maybe it'll cheer her up." I nearly dropped my coffee cup. "You think that's a good idea?" "Of course. She's your best friend after that night in the blizzard, right?" Something in her tone made me wary. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," she shrugged. "Just that you've grown so close." The dinner was torture. Natalie came wearing the same dress she had on New Year's Eve. Coincidence? Unlikely. "Mom, you look better," Lisa noted. "Did you fall in love or something?" Natalie choked on her wine. I pretended to be very busy with my plate. "Don't be silly," she replied. Just life is getting better." "Really? Because I notice you're kind of jumpy lately. And Dan, too." Natalie and I exchanged glances. A strange gleam appeared in Lisa's eyes. "You know what?" She put down her fork. "Let's be honest." "About what?" My voice betrayed me with a tremor. "About that night in the blizzard." A heavy silence fell. I could feel cold sweat running down my back. "What do you want to know?" Natalie asked quietly. "The truth. Did you sleep together?" "Lisa!" I jumped up. "Sit down." Her voice was icy. "I'm not stupid, Dan. I see everything. How you avoid looking at each other. How you tense up when I leave you alone. How—" "Sweetheart," Natalie began. "Don't you dare call me that. Not after you sleaze with my husband." The glass in Natalie's hand trembled. "How did you—" "No. You forgot to turn off the security camera in the living room. The one we installed after the burglary attempt." I felt the room spin before my eyes. The camera. Damn. "I watched the recording on the morning of January 1st, Lisa continued. "Wanted to see how you celebrated New Year's. And I saw, in all the details, Lisa, I can explain, I started. What exactly? How you betrayed me right in front of that fireplace. How you told her you'd never felt anything like this before. How... Enough, Natalie jumped up. Forgive us, we didn't want... Didn't want what? To betray me or to get caught? She stood up, went to the bar, took out her phone. You know what? I sent a copy of the recording to Dad. I wonder what he'll say when he sees his ex-wife. You didn't do that. Natalie turned pale. I did. 10 minutes ago. Lisa smiled a strange smile. You know what's funny? I've suspected something was wrong for a long time. Saw how you looked at him, how you flirted at family dinners. But I thought, no, my mother isn't capable of such betrayal. Lisa, please. I stepped toward her. Don't come near me. She held up her hand. You know what's the worst part? I loved you both. Trusted you. Her phone rang. The screen showed Dad. Oh, it begins? She smirked. Maybe I should put it on speaker? Honey, don't. Natalie's voice trembled. Your father. He has a bad heart. And me? Don't I have a heart? At that moment, the doorbell rang. We all froze. Who else did you invite? I asked. No one. But you know what? Let the whole world know. Let everyone see what you're really like. She went to the door. Natalie and I exchanged glances. There was horror in her eyes. Lisa's father stood at the threshold, pale phone in hand. Dad! Lisa stepped back. Have you watched it? No. He entered the room. Phone's broken. Can't open the video. But judging by your message, God, Natalie, is it true? Natalie silently nodded. He looked at me. And you, and suddenly clutched his heart. Everything happened like in a nightmare. Ambulance, emergency room, diagnosis, massive heart attack. He survived, but our lives would never be the same. Lisa filed for divorce. I didn't resist. What right did I have? Natalie sold her house and moved somewhere to the West Coast. They say she opened a small gallery there. She always dreamed of working in art. And I remained alone, with memories of that snowy night that changed everything. Sometimes, on particularly cold evenings, I take out a bottle of wine, pour a glass, watch the fire in the fireplace, and think, was it worth it? One moment of passion that crossed out so many lives. I don't know, really don't know. But sometimes when there's a blizzard outside, I smell vanilla. And for a moment, everything seems right again. A year has passed. Lisa got married to some surgeon from the clinic where they treated her father. They say she's happy. Her father recovered, even started talking to Natalie by phone occasionally. And I met a woman. She's nothing like Natalie, and that's probably for the best. Because some winter evenings should remain just memories, even if these memories burn like a sip of good whiskey. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.